Minecraft and Pokemon are two very different styles of games, but are fun in their own way. Mash them together and you get Pixelmon. I will be going along this journey for 100 days and have created 5 goals that I would like to achieve by the end of it. Those being, catch a team full of shiny Pokemon, registering at least 200 Pokemon in the Pokedex, including a legendary and mythical, defeating 10 unique Mega Bosses and obtaining their Mega Stones, defeating 1 Evil Team Leader boss, and building 1 pixel art of a Pokemon. With that being said, let's get right into it. We spawned in a cherry blossom forest, so I begun by chopping down some wood, crafting some tools, and headed down into a ravine to get some good old minerals. We found an abandoned mine shaft, which was great for mining, and inside some chests, we found a Pokemon fossil and a couple of evolutionary stones. So I headed back to the surface and traveled until I found a village with a Pokemon Center in it. I then set up my home base for the time being and start to train up our little Bulbasaur who had already got yeeted in battle. I happened to find a Dynamax raid den, but it had a Murkrow inside, which would have destroyed me, so I decided to stay away. All I could do was train up my single Pokemon until I came across this random Pokeloot on the ground, which gave me a Dive Ball. So now that I could actually catch a Pokemon, I wanted to grab something with the highest rate of success. And since the Dive Ball works better on water types, I headed to the river and caught my first Pokemon of this 100-day series, being Dewpider. I forgot to nickname my adorable starter, so I named it Froppy. In the meantime, I was battling some trainers, and eventually Bulbasaur evolved into Ivysaur, but I wasn't satisfied with myself. I wanted to catch them all, so I collected apricorns of all sorts, cooked them up in a furnace, and crafted some regular Pokeballs as well as some nest balls. I also started my mini quest of chopping up every sheep I found to collect their wool. This is because I will be creating pixel art at some point in this video. I found a Zorua, which is a cool Pokemon, so I caught the dude, named it Scam, as he's the biggest scammer of them all.
They see me rolling, they hate it.
I caught Mrs. Fraud Simulator here, and she is absolutely rapid. I happen to find a fully evolved Ampharos, and unlike its pre-evos, it doesn't have any wool, so I caught it instead of whacking it in the nuts. I named it after the Demon Slayer, Zenitsu. I was able to find our first wild starter, being Chikorita and Bayleaf. Caught one of them, but sadly, it will be dumped in the PC. I crafted myself a pair of running shoes to move at lightning speed. I did happen to evolve a Pidgeotto into a Pidgeot, which was a game changer as it could now fly on its back and travel quicker and look for new biomes and structures easily. But along with that, Ivysaur evolved into Venusaur, becoming the thickest version it could ever be. While exploring, I came across a frozen ocean, which was home to a penguin with an ice cube for a head. Huh? A Lapras spawned in the water as well, and it was too majestic for me to ignore, so I added it to the squad. I was curious as to whether I would be able to swim on its back, considering it's literally called the transport Pokemon, but it immediately sunk into the ocean. Try skipping a meal next time, will ya? Pray to the Lord. Nah, get out of here, dude. You ain't worth my time. Now this is who we actually worship, the Holy Lord himself. In the distance, I saw an outline of what seems to be a ship, but as I got closer, I soon realized it was no ordinary ship, but a flying one. Thankfully, we have Pidgeot to get on board. Oh wait. I also found one of these weird towers. I scaled to the top, but didn't find anything inside besides the scroll. Apparently it's used to evolve a mythical Pokemon called Cub Fu, so we'll have to wait until I come across one in the future. I found a underwater structure which had a chest containing a buried treasure map, and a wild Gyarados spawned which was ominous, but I was no match for it, so I continued along until I found the treasure, which was a bit disappointing as it didn't have anything special, but what was special was this Gyarados absolutely jamming it out. I came across a different village which allowed me to heal my Pokemon up, so I backtracked to the flying ship, and on board we found Team Plasma from the Unova region. These guys were up to no good. You can tell from them standing still in the air, minding their own business. Something was definitely fishy. I slowly beat each and every grunt inside the ship, which led me to their boss, N. He was gonna be the toughest challenge yet. Wait, what? He only has level 0 Pokemon? Something was broken, for sure. I do end up fixing this issue later, so I'll come back and actually try to beat him, cause that's pretty lame otherwise. I went back home to stash my loot, caught an Excadrill, and slapped it on the team. Well, isn't this just Pokemon cruelty?
12 seconds later.
Cinderace spawned nearby, but I had no chance of catching it. In this Twilight Valley, Hatterene spawned, which was the highest level Pokemon I've caught so far. I was able to save a bit of money from beating up trainers, which allowed me to buy Ultra Balls. I then went on a catching spree and beat my first raid den boss. I looked up into the sky and found an Aerodactyl, which was strange considering they're extinct. Honestly, I ain't complaining. Saves me the time to revive it from a fossil, so I caught it and replaced it with Pidgeot on the team. While trying to catch a Staravia, I messed up.
It was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
And died. I was able to recover the loot by flying back, but sadly not my 31 levels. I caught a lot more Pokemon including Breloom, Hitmontop, and Charmander, and beat up another Raiden boss before I found this weird shrine at the ocean's edge. I tried scouting the area, but all I found was this chalice with an Arceus symbol on it. I knew it was important but didn't know exactly how to use it. I found myself on a desert and was just vibe checking the area when I saw this Pokemon with a different color name. Sandaconda puts us in a battle, and what do you know, we found our very first shiny Pokemon. Thanks to Venusaur's Sleep Powder, catching it was easy, and with that, we are 1/3 of the way of getting to our shiny goal. Being our first shiny, I added it to the team in place of Excadrill and named her You Got Buns, Hun.
None unless you got buns, hun.
A minute later, I run into a Garchomp level 76. I eventually gave it the treatment it truly deserved, and I got a couple of diamonds as a reward.
Nice.
I caught a few more Pokemon in Gabite and Drapion, out of which I added Drapion to the squad. I stumbled upon my very first Master Ball Pokoloot. I was super excited.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
I found a level 65 Zangoose, so I caught it and came across a lava pool, which allowed me to further scheme against the sheep of the world.
What the dog doing?
At some point you all gotta admit, Garbagemon is bestmon. I was just roaming around when I happened to see a blue Shuppet on the minimap. Me being the Pokemon genius that I am, figured that it was a rare Pokemon. It just so happened to be a shiny Pokemon, and that's our second one so far. You might be thinking that the way I found it was cheap, but it's pretty hard because you won't always be looking at the map, and even if you do, there are so many Pokemon on there that it's hard to keep track of them all, and they're basically the size of a pixel. With that, we are 2/3 the way off our shiny goal. I was at this funky desert, catching a Vibrava, and when I was done, I noticed a funky Diglett at the corner of my eye. The sparkles around it confirmed that it was our third shiny. I kid you not, I have been super lucky till this point. The only difference is that it has a blue nose compared to a pink one. Now don't tell me I noticed the blue nose through this horrifying to the eye kind of minimap. Even if I did, it would have been a pro gamer move right there. So I'm taking the compliment if you do say so. There are also a bunch of random reskin Pokemon to the color pink, so I casually caught a pink Diglett as well. At this point, I only had a bit over 50 Pokemon out of the 200 that I intended, and moments later, I caught a few more interesting Pokemon like Bagon, Squirtle, and a level 60 Dragapult. I finally ran into a move relearner which was huge. This guy is an NPC who allows us to teach O moves to a Pokemon, so we were able to strengthen our team a lot. For some reason, he was nervous. I really couldn't tell why. I ran into the boss of Team Magma, Maxie.
Psych! That's the wrong number!
Dude, you got the wrong legendary! You had one job! Right after catching the Dragapult, I nearly fell into a ravine. After looking up to the gods for saving me, something caught the corner of my eye. I was blessed with another shiny. I chased after it on Aerodactyl and caught it to make our shiny count to 4. Our shiny luck has been insane, But on the flip side, I haven't seen a single boss Pokemon or legendary spawn yet. I found another one of those towers, but this time I got the Scroll of Darkness at the very top. I came across some mineral on the ground which was actually raw tumblestone, the same stuff from Legends Arceus. I didn't know how to mine it though, as nothing was working. I battled my first ever 5-star Raiden, which was a Ditto, and catching a Ditto would be awesome. I felt it was time to evolve one of our Shinies, and I instantly regretted my decision. Apparently, the version of Pixelmon I was playing was bugged, so I didn't have any boss or legendary spawns. Bosses have different ranks of difficulty, being common, uncommon, rare, epic, legendary, and ultimate. I fixed the issue by installing a more recent version of the mod and finally found our first mega boss, Mega Medicham. Most of my team got knocked out because it has the ability Pure Power, which doubles its attack stat. But thanks to Slowbro reducing its attack with the most basic move, Growl, we obtained the Mega Stone and we were now able to equip it thanks to our new Mega Necklace. From there on, I found the Mega Bosses of Beedrill, Mawile, and Ampharos and obtained each of their Mega Stones. So far, beating Megas has been rather easy thanks to Venusaur's Leech Seed, which does damage every turn, and Sleep Powder helps me stall, which eventually knocks them out. This meant I could now Mega Evolve my very own Ampharos. Do you ever just look at a Pokemon and be like, huh? I've had that exact same reaction when looking at a bunch of Pokemon in this game.
You suck!
Mega Blaziken, Pidgeot, and Gengar didn't stand a chance against me, which was surprising because I got dunked on against Mega Manectric. I now had added 6 Mega Stones to my collection, which was cool and all, but I was roaming around when we got our first legendary spawn, being Xerneas. It is the cover legendary of Pokemon X. With the help of False Swipe from Zangoose, which put it down to 1 health point, and Venusaur Sleep Powder, we caught it in a regular Pokeball, which was surprisingly easy. They are meant to be way harder to catch, so I got a bit lucky. I had now achieved our second goal of this challenge. It's also a lot smaller than I thought it would be, and it did not have any moves that could inflict damage, so I had to keep it in the PC for now until I found another move relearner, which was pretty sad. I came across this ruined portal next to a village and looted its items. The funny thing was when I returned to it half a day later to only find a Pokemon burning in the fire, which happened to be a shiny Rhyhorn. I went into battle immediately without a second thought, as it could have died at any point. I named it Pizza Crust and eventually put it on the team in place of our shiny Sandaconda. I also happened to find a pink version of Rhyhorn, so things were lining up for us. I caught a lot of new Pokemon like Chubby Doggo, Freakish Bird, and Scyther in the savannah, slowly getting closer to my goal of catching 200 Pokemon. I also ran into a Hisuian Voltorb, which is cool as I had never seen a Hisuian Pokemon before in Pixelmon. I was about to go to bed for the night, but I was glad that I didn't, as Tapu Lele spawned in a tropical rainforest biome close to us. I wanted this Guardian of Alola to be mine. It can be an absolutely busted Pokemon since it hits like a truck. Zangoose brought Lele down to 1 health, and this time, Ampharos paralyzed with a Thunder Wave to maximize our chances of catching it.
1 eternity later.
This time around though, it wasn't as easy as it drained 30 of my Ultra Balls before it gave up and chose to be my Pokemon. I wanted to throw it into battle to showcase its power. Okay, maybe it isn't that good. Between multiple days, we ran into Mega Camerupt, Mega Aggron, and Mega Scizor, obtaining each of their Mega Stones, which brings us our total count to 7 out of the 10 for our goal. I caught a lot of new Pokemon, but out of everything I've seen so far, Scraggy has the best animation ever. You can't change my mind. Man's just trying to look good out on these streets, yo. I figured it was time I explored the unknown, the Nether. So I started to build my Nether portal with the best speedrunning tactics known to man. didn't have any flint to light up my portal, so I headed back to the river to find some gravel, and just like that, a legendary spawned. I was so excited until I saw this. My little pony decided to spawn near my stoop, so I let fate decide what I did with it. And just like that, this warrior of justice was put in its place. That'll teach it to never spawn again. I lit up my portal and set my respawn by sleeping just in case I died in there. I headed inside and I think I got the best spawn in history. Even though I was surrounded by lava, there was another fortress right in my sights. I raided some of the chests, but they didn't have anything special in them besides a few gems. I took the opportunity to catch some Pokemon, as some of them only spawn in the Nether. While I was scouting, I did something really smart. Yup, this bed really came in handy. I can definitely pick up my items for sure. Well, it was time to start fresh. I just picked up some loot from my chest and explored the outside world for a bit. In the mountains, I discovered an evil base which happened to be Team Galactic's. I beat up a bunch of their members, but however hard I tried to search, there didn't seem to be a leader among them. I found a Pokemon salesman that was selling TMs for the first time, so I locked down the cords as it could come in handy later. I tried fighting a Mega Absol, but I stood no chance, so I couldn't make any progress there. Okay, so you're telling me this Magikarp spawned out of this one water block?
I don't think you have any idea how fast I really am. I'm fast as boy.
I was trying to find where the carp disappeared to, and in that moment, this dude really had the nerve to show up again and pay the price. To be fair, I actually did try catching it this time, but I didn't want to waste too many balls on this piece of crap. I decided to level up my Rhyhorn with all the XP candy that I had, which brought about its evolution to a drilling machine. Hey yo, what that drill do though? I then beat a Mega Slowbro boss to obtain the Slowbronite and found a Mega Banette boss, which meant that I could Mega Evolve my own shiny Banette after getting its Mega Stone. That brought the tally to 9 Mega Stones, which meant that we only needed one more to finish up our goal. I then thought about going back into the Nether. The whole point was that I could defeat Turtonators as they dropped Shulker Shells in order to craft a Shulker box. For whatever reason, I had still not seen a single Ultra Wormhole appear, so this was my only option. The genius in me had a great idea. What if I could ride the lava with Turtonator? I hopped on and moved at a snail's pace. I thought it was working, but apparently, the only thing saving me was a block right underneath me.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
That death wasn't really my fault. I was falsely led to believe that it worked, but it wasn't meant to be. This time around, I didn't have a lot of stuff I could grab from my chest and had no money to buy anything. So my only choice for the time being was hoarding cash from the rich boys of the world to make bank. While fighting a Mega Gyarados boss, another legendary spawned. This time it was Azulf. I wouldn't mind one of the leg trio, but it didn't matter as I didn't have any Pokeballs, so I resorted to chopping it up. Get back here, where do you think you're going? Did you not realize you lost your flying type or something? Or am I tripping? I wasn't able to match up to the Mega Gyarados, but Mega Manectric was up for grabs. Thanks to Rhydon, I was easily able to beat it, which makes that our 10th Mega Stone, and with that, we completed our first goal of the series. I'd grinded up 69 grand.
Nice.
So I could now stock up on a lot of Ultra and Pokeballs. I went back into the Nether to collect some more Shulker Shells, and my smartass nearly died again. Seriously, I should just be banned from the Nether. I finally got some more inventory space by crafting Shulker boxes, so I celebrated by evolving our little blue-nosed Diglett into a Dugtrio. I was passing along a forest biome, and we finally got a Mega Venusaur spawn. This was one of the greatest days as I could now Mega Evolve my precious starter, Froppy. Soon after that, I came across a swamp biome and found this Gulpin, which looked like it was caved in with a shovel. But within the next few minutes, a legendary spawned. This time, it was the massive beast called Eternatus. It looks like it's been starving for ages, so I tried my hardest to catch it, but something weird happened. I was switching to my Venusaur, but for some reason, the game registered it as an attack that was Body Slam, which killed the beast. I definitely feel like I was scammed out of a legendary there, but there's no time to cry about it. I really wanted to add a water type to my team, so I stayed in the swamp trying to find a Froakie, but didn't have any luck. But what do you know? Eternatus decided to spawn yet again, so I tried my hardest to catch it, but for some reason it didn't work. Mans just disappeared, leaving behind some Ender Eyes. That gave me the thought to go explore the end, but I'll do that a bit later. I was grinding up some levels on my team by taking on boss Pokemon when I came across an icy landmass for the first time. There were a bunch of Pokemon I had never seen before, so I caught them, and while doing that, a Calyrex had spawned around me in a forest biome. For some reason, I thought it was the Ice Horse, so I was looking for that. I then later realized it was the weird big brain Pokemon, but by that time, I think it was too late. I went back into the footage to check out the minimap as it spawned, but I still couldn't find it, so maybe it was all a dream. I found another Team Plasma ship, so I figured that I'd have a crack at Ant. This time around, the boss effect worked, and I got absolutely manhandled by his single Electros, which easily beat my best counters. So it was obvious I had to come prepared the next time. I have to make sure that I can beat him by the 100 days. I found a Pokebreeder who was selling some ranch blocks, so instead of buying one, I decided to steal the one on display. I found a bunch of relic items which were worth a lot. I was pretty much set for the rest of the 100 days. I found a Giga Drain TM in the store, so I taught it to Venusaur, making it even better, and it was that time again, evolving our shiny Starly into a Staravia and into a fearsome Staraptor. It was too cold of a shiny for me to leave it in the PC, so I replaced it with Zangoose. I was curious as to how much of the dex I had completed, and to my surprise, I had already gone over the 200 mark. That means we were done with our second goal of this challenge. I eventually found another move relearner, which meant that I could finally teach my Xerneas some attacking moves while making the rest of my team even stronger. Just look at how amazing some of these movesets are. In a Sunflower Plains biome, Meloetta had spawned, yet another mythical I couldn't care less about. I tried catching it, but this time it was pretty annoying since it kept dealing too much damage to my sleep inducer, so I savagely beat it down without hesitation. By this point, I had collected a ton of wool, so I thought it would be nice to finally go ahead and create the pixel art to brighten up the area. I made it using creative mode as I wanted it in the air, and it would be way too annoying otherwise. If you have a problem with that, feel free to leave a negative response. Not like I've never seen one of those before. You can probably tell what it is, but if you haven't clocked it yet, here is the finished product. It was only right to create the starter that had carried me through this journey. After defeating a bunch of bosses, I had racked up a lot of Megastones, Z Crystals, and Arceus plates, but I wanted to rack up all the plates as they could lead to a grand finish to this challenge. Days later, a Cosmog spawned in another Sunflower Plains biome. I honestly was hunting for this thing as it could do what a lot of legendaries can't. It was super annoying as it kept using teleport to exit the battle, but eventually I landed a sleep powder which rendered it useless, and it got caught after a single Ultra Ball. Unlike other legendaries, this guy can evolve. Our goal was pretty clear. I had to level up Cosmog up as fast as I could. While facing some more bosses, one of them actually dropped a Master Ball, which is great considering all the legendaries I've killed out of frustration. Thanks to some XP candies, we leveled it up enough to evolve into Cosmoem. This dude looked like the universe in a nutshell. What kind of godly Pokedex entry is that? Although I'd exhausted most of my XP candies, I still had a lot of rare candies left, which was an easy way to further evolve Cosmoem to become a godly beast called Solgaleo. Depending on what time you evolve Cosmoem, it could either turn into Solgaleo or Lunala. I chose the prior because the steel type would be nice to have, and it's also a fantastic looking ride Pokemon. One of the interesting things Solgaleo can do is create an Ultra Wormhole. This can allow us to go to Ultra Space, and the whole reason why I was hunting this Pokemon. Up until now, I had never seen a randomly floating portal, so I had to generate one myself. As we landed in Ultra Space, I looked around a bit and saw a super funky Parasect. I found a bunch of Pokeloot on the ground, which gave me a few more Arceus plates. The funny thing was when I found this village without any groundwork to it. I tried going into the Pokemart to sell some of my stuff. By the way, check out these cool safety goggles I found in here. Okay, besides getting distracted, I went down the ladder and like an idiot, I didn't realize that there was any flooring and fell right through to get teleported back to the normal world. My next little mini goal was to try to evolve Rhydon into a massive chonker of a Rhyperior. The issue with that is that you require a specific item called the Protector to perform the evolution for Rhydon. The Protector is super hard to find. It can either be found as a 5% held item on a wild Rhydon that you could catch, or as a 10% drop from a wild Rhyperior. Doing this part drained me a lot of my time as both of them only spawn during the day. You could also maybe find it as a Pokeloot drop, but the chances of that are bad if not worse. After having no luck of obtaining one after the first few days, my luck changed, but not exactly the way I hoped. Instead of a Protector, I ran into a shiny Pokemon. If I caught Nidoran, that would bring my total shiny tally to 6. This little sucker was easy to catch. I named it Mercury, and with that, we had finished up our third goal of this challenge. Our job wasn't done yet, as I still had to stick around in the savannah. Days passed by, until this Rhyperior decided to bless me with its Protector after going down. This meant we could now evolve our Rhydon into a Rhyperior. I bet that's what most of you are thinking, right? Well, you're wrong. Technically, Rhydon evolves with the Protector only while it's being traded. But for me, that would be impossible as I'm in a single player world. I thought that too for a second, until I realized that I had this item with me all along. A linking cord allows you to evolve a Pokemon that requires trade by yourself. I had both of the items necessary to do so. This brought about the evolution, which resulted in a monstrous Rhyperior. Our team was starting to look powerful. I also casually evolved our newly caught Nidoran into a Shrek-looking Nidoqueen. I think I've gotten a good mix of bad and good shinies so far. My next little side quest was to travel to the end and see what kind of Pokemon were lurking in the shadows. For that, I had to grind some Ender Pearls from Psychic-type Pokemon, which allowed me to create Eyes of Ender and locate the stronghold. It took me ages to find the portal room, but eventually we entered the end. To my surprise, I was greeted by the Ender Dragon, which is weird since there aren't meant to be any Minecraft mobs. By the way, little side note, Lunatone looks like it's been starving for days. But back on the topic of this dragon, I thought why not kill it and see where it leads me. I begun by taking down the towers by flying on Lily's back and eventually axe it down to beat Minecraft? I don't know what is going on. I wanted to make my way to the end cities, but after jumping in, I was met with the ending screen. This was when I walked away from my PC and came back like an hour later to only realize that I was sent back to our original spawn. Not only that, but 2 Shaymins had spawned in the meantime. One of them was on the map, so I hunted it down and caught it pretty easily. I didn't mind catching Shaymin as I had found a Gracidia flower a while back, so I thought it would be cool to showcase its transformation to its sky form. Well then, I headed back to Ultra Space to check on the new biomes they had added in a recent update. While they look cool and all, there wasn't really much to do in there. I didn't have time to waste as I had to work on leveling up my team for the big boss battles up ahead. I think it's best if I just... yeah. While exploring a bit more, I found my first ever mushroom biome. It had max mushrooms growing on it, but honestly I had no idea what they did as I can barely recollect Generation 8 stuff. As I fought a wild Drampa, I noticed a sparkle on the left side of my screen. That was the moment I knew it was a shiny Pokemon. I didn't even know what species it was as I was panicked by the fact that it was suffocating. So I went into battle without a second thought and then saw this hideous mug. I can't believe I found one of the most annoying Pokemon to walk this earth in its shiny form. After traveling, I stumbled upon yet another Team Galactic base, but this time I was not to be disappointed as I found their boss Cyrus there. He was a rare boss, which meant his Pokemon would be 20 levels higher than my highest one. I couldn't compete with him in the slightest, so since this is my only goal remaining, I spent the remaining of my time training up the team, which was easier thanks to the XP all and lucky egg I picked up at some point. While training against the bosses of the Tower of Waters, a Suicune spawned. I thought it would be a good catch for the team against the likes of N and Cyrus, so I didn't attempt to kill it for once. To stand up against the best, I had to make sure my Pokemon were top tier. The only way I was able to achieve this was by using golden bottle caps on each one of them, which maxes out their IVs, or in simpler terms, makes them stronger. Whenever I challenged him, I would immediately get shanked by his Weavile, so I had to train up a whole new Infernape in order to even stand a chance. The time had finally come. This was the endgame. Infernape forces Weavile to use Ice Shard as I was holding a Choice Scarf and shattered it with a close combat. That brought in Rhyperior, which was no match against the defenses of Suicune. He then casually threw in a Dialga. It really threw me in a hole as I had to exchange Tapu Lele and Dragapult's lives in order to beat it. Rhyperior took down his Honchkrow, while Houndoom got thrashed once again by Infernape, which only left his Crobat, which was slowly beaten by Suicune to bring an end to the battle, which also happens to be our last challenge of this 100 days. That brought about the end to the 100 days of Pixelmon challenge, and it was super fun to do. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me do more Pixelmon or Minecraft in the future, and as always, I will see you all next time.